Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into Sin's Workshop. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. So today we're going to be reviewing Yuli. This is the third book in the Guardians of Dawn series by S.J. Jones, where she combines elements of magical girls, think Cardcaptor, Sakura, Sailor Moon, and fairy tales, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, and in this case, Red Riding Hood. I love the subtle allusions to the fairy tales. I think that's one of the things that I really love about the series. With book one, with Zara, that was very much Sailor Moon vibes and Cinderella vibes. She's very emotional, like my Usagi, but closer to manga Usagi, not 1990s Usagi, where she was a super crybaby. Not anything against it. I grew up watching it, but let's be real. She was a crybaby. So Zara is similar to that. And then you have Ami. Ami. I think it's hilarious. Like, everything about her aesthetic screams Sailor Mercury. And now we have our Archer in this book. She very much exudes Sailor Mars Ray energy, and I love that about her. But she's also like really fun and lighthearted as well. So just think of like Sailor Venus meets like the combination of Sailor Venus and Sailor Mars, in my opinion. I absolutely love the series. And this one, they each follow a specific character, but in this one we're following Yuli now. Yuli has been around since book one, and now she finally gets her own story. There are multiple POVs. She is not she is the center of the story. Obviously, she's our Red Riding Hood with her flame red hair. And the wolf is the paper wolf, who we don't really know who that is. But they are someone who's helping the Guardians of Dawn in secret. We do eventually discover who they are later in the book. They are a good guy. You also have the introduction of the huntsman, so we know the next book is going to be Snow White. I really, really love that fairy tale aspect, and I really love how we're delving into Yuli now as a character. She's always been a fun character since the beginning. Since book one, her power is wind, the wind element, and she can astral project, and she can also tether spirits to their bodies, right? She really thinks her power is very limited, but through the course of the story, she is discovering, no, her power is it has lots of range that she is finally exploring. There's a lot of more political challenges in this book, and this one is more queer. Each one of them is slightly more queer than the last one, and this one, she very much, and it's been established since book one, that she prefers girls to boys. Like, she is a lesbian, basically. And we're really getting to see, not her struggle with that, but her just like live in it. Her constant flirtation with Zara, and then just the way she likes to wink at girls, she's like a player. She's just so much fun. She has a lot of energy. But I think this book really differs from the previous two because, and this is a slight spoiler, they lose at the end. They lose. The whole story is building up that tension over and over and over again. And here they actually get to the point where they have to fight the moth. So every novel is, kind of like that monster of the week thing, right? They have to fight one of the lords of Tirak, one of the demon kings. In this case, it would be the moth demon. There's another sickness that's coming alive. This one is the waking, dreaming sleepness, right? Where they're just asleep. And their bodies are asleep so that they can be taken over by demons, possession, right? And in doing so, like, their spirit is completely severed from their body. It's really, really interesting to see all of that slowly unfold and to see that rising tension. And you get to the end and you think, oh, it's going to follow the same formula as the previous two where they're going to win. No, they don't win. Like, they kind of win, but not really. It's a bittersweet winning because they lose someone in the process. So now they have to figure out how to save the person that they lost to help them kind of temporarily seal the door. But they didn't defeat the moth demon. They did not defeat the moth demon. They still have to find their fourth guardian. So they're in the ice caps, and just think Sailor Moon season 1, that ending where they're in the ice and they all kind of die. Because yeah, in the manga, the Sailor Scouts die. They did. They do lose someone, but they're not completely dead. They're like in the in-between. And when it all comes to a head, you're thinking, oh my god, you thought it was going to follow the same formula. So it took me by surprise, but I liked the surprise because now we have another added element of tension that's going to go into the next book. You know, and I do like when there is a break from the formula, because we don't really want the same story being told over and over and over again. We like something different. It's a nice change of pace. I didn't mind book 2 with winning again. You know, I kind of expected them to win. Just like with this one, I expected them to win. And it was a bittersweet ending. And they keep saying we failed. Like, yes, they did fail. They lost. So now there's so much tension just in that. I like the multiple POVs because we still get to see Zara, we still get to see Ami, we get to see their romantic entanglements. We get to see the Bag 10 brothers, who are really fun. There's a lot of humor in the book, and there's a lot of good characterization as well. I mean, these characters, they may make you love them. They're all very distinct, they're all very different, but they all have really strong personalities. Even Ami, who sometimes come off as really subdued, you know? She's very much analytical, you know? She really is a lot like Ami. And, you know, her spirit animal, that's a unicorn, you know? I just think it's really fun to read these books. As someone who grew up loving magical girls, and I still, you know, my son asked me, Mommy, you haven't seen Sailor Moon in a while. What can I feel? I finished watching it and I'm still reeling from that Cosmos ending. And I just finished reading all of the manga. So, still reeling. I love my magical girls. You know, I'm currently rereading Cardcaptor Sakura. So I love that element of the storytelling. And I like that S.J. Jones has tied it to her Korean culture as well. You know, it's very different from Shadow Song, her previous series. This one's very much steeped in her Korean culture. And I really like that because I don't think we get, I mean, nowadays we are seeing a lot more Korean culture brought to life in fiction and fantasy. And I really think that that's really cool. So I like it. And I like how she is subtly using these classic Western fairy tales, you know, or not even Western. I mean, come on. These classic fairy tales, predominantly viewed because, you know, they, you know, Anglo-Saxon. It's nothing wrong with that. It's just those are the origins of it. Of all of these fairy tales. Hans Christian, Grimm brothers, they were white. And so it's nice to see a nice twist on these classic fairy tales, just like with Marissa Mayer did. We get to see a nice twist, a nice Asian twist to it that gives them a little bit more, oh God, like I'm struggling to find the right word, vitality. I guess it's something different, it's something unique, it's something fresh. We're seeing these classic fairy tales, but they're going in line with the magical girl themes and tropes. So they are completely new and unique, you know, but you can distinctly tell, like, oh yeah, she's Cinderella. Oh yeah, she's Beauty and the Beast. Oh yeah, she's Red Riding Hood. And you already know the next one is going to be Snow White, you know, just because of all the allusions to it. They are there, but they don't take over the story, and they don't take away from the Korean aspects of the story with the Korean folklore mythology that's going into weaving the fantasy of the story. I think it's really interesting. I love this series. I highly recommend it all the time. They're fun, like I said, fun, imaginative, vivid characters. Pacing is on point. I do think in book 2 the pacing faltered, but here the pacing was very steady, and then that rising tension really knew how to capture me, and it made me not want to put the book down. So, honestly, stellar book. Loved it. I can't wait to see what's going to happen in Suwa. Ooh, that cover. Ooh, beautiful. In any case, thank you all for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your book reading friends. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.